Let's picture a young girl, okay? We'll call her Maria. Her future? Well, it feels kind of limited where she lives. But then, a sponsorship program steps in, and suddenly she's in school, getting an education that just blows her world wide open with possibilities. Maria's story, that's the real stakes here, right? It shows the incredible impact we can have. But to really pull this off, we need teams that are super well trained and effective. So let's dive into the blueprint for building a training program that helps change more lives, just like Maria's.
First things first, let's just ground ourselves in why this matters so much. I mean, the impact, when you get it right, is just staggering. Sponsored kids are up to 40% more likely to finish high school. And get this, up to 17% more likely to land a salary job as an adult. We're not just talking about temporary help here. We are literally talking about rewriting someone's future.
But here's the reality check. All that incredible potential can get completely derailed by simple human error. One study I saw found that a shocking 15% of donor records had critical errors. You know what that leads to? Broken communication, wasted effort, and missed opportunities. This right here, this is the gap between what we want to do and what we actually do. And it's a gap we just can't afford. So how do we close that gap? How do we connect the promise to the reality? Well, it pretty much all comes down to one thing: effective staff training. This is all about connecting the skills of your people on the front lines, the ones talking to donors, the ones working in the communities, directly to the success of your entire mission. Because look, when your training is on point, the results are crystal clear. You get better outcomes for children, you build unshakable trust with your donors, and your operations just run like a well-oiled machine. And that frees you up to focus on what really matters. All right, so let's get into the how-to. The very first step, you've got to look under the hood. Before you can build some amazing training program, you have to know exactly what skills your team already has and, more importantly, what skills they actually need to really crush it in their roles.
And think about it. The sponsorship program is this whole ecosystem of different roles, right? Your program administrators need to be organizational wizards. Your donor relations staff, they need massive empathy and amazing communication skills. And your field staff, they need deep cultural sensitivity and the ability to think on their feet. Every single one needs a unique set of skills to really thrive.
So, how in the world do you find those specific gaps? Well, the pro tool for this is what's called a Training Needs Assessment, or TNA. Honestly, think of it like an MRI for your organization. It's just a structured way to see really clearly the difference between where your team is now and where they need to be to deliver on the mission.
And this doesn't have to be some big, scary thing. You can do a TNA just by watching how people perform their jobs, using simple knowledge tests, or sending out anonymous feedback surveys where people feel safe to be totally honest. And you know what's really crucial? Listen to the community you're serving. Their feedback can uncover blind spots you'd never see from the inside.
Okay, so once you've identified those gaps, now you're ready for the fun part: designing the solution. This is where you get to draw up the blueprints for a training program that's targeted, effective, and actually built for the real world. And a huge part of that blueprint is setting SMART goals. Look at this example. It turns a vague idea like, let's improve safety, into something real and actionable. The goal is to have 90% of staff accurately document playground incidents within 3 months. See how that works? It's specific, you can measure it, and it's directly tied to protecting kids. That's a goal you can actually work with. And here's the thing you absolutely have to remember. Learning is not a spectator sport. I love this quote from Dave Meyer. He says that for learning to really truly stick, you need 4 things. You prepare the learner, you present the info, you let them practice, and then you have them actually perform the skill. Without all 4, it just doesn't work.
And that's exactly why interactive methods are so powerful. So instead of a lecture, why not have your staff role-play a tough conversation with a donor? Instead of a quiz, give them a real-world problem to solve as a team. And please, dedicate time for hands-on practice with your key software. Let people make mistakes in a safe training environment, not when the mission is on the line.
All right, so you've got this amazing plan. Now it's time to actually put it into action. This is the rollout phase, where we take those blueprints off the page and start building with our team. First up, you've got to choose your format. In-person sessions, they're fantastic for that hands-on collaborative energy and team bonding. But virtual sessions, they offer incredible flexibility, especially if your team is spread out all over the place. You know, a lot of times, the best approach is a smart, hybrid mix of both.
But remember, the training doesn't stop when the session is over, not even close. The real learning happens back on the job. So schedule weekly check-ins for the first month or two, offer supportive one-on-one coaching, and hey, if you notice a bunch of people are struggling with the same thing, that's not a staff problem, that's a golden opportunity to make your training material even better.
And that brings us to the final and maybe most critical stage, measuring your success and making sure all this great work actually sticks around for the long haul. This is all about the follow-through.
A really powerful tool for this is the Kirkpatrick model. Think of it like a 4-course meal of feedback. Level 1 is the appetizer. Did they like the training? Level 2, did they actually learn the stuff? Level 3, are they using it in their day-to-day work? And the most important one, level 4, the main course, did it actually improve the results that matter, like donor retention or data accuracy?
And to keep that momentum going, you've got to build a culture where learning never stops. This can be as simple as doing informal lunch and learns or as structured as a formal mentorship program. The key is to commit to getting better by reviewing and updating your training every single year based on what's actually working. Because in the end, all of these steps, these systems, these strategies, they all serve one single purpose. Just look at an organization like Born to Fly. Their president, Diana Simone, says that getting their systems and training right lets them focus on their mission instead of getting buried in paperwork. And that's the whole point, isn't it? To reach more kids and create real, meaningful change.
You see, building a high-impact training program isn't just some administrative task you have to check off a list. It's the engine that powers your entire mission. It gives your team the tools they need to turn good intentions into truly life-changing outcomes. So the real question is, once your team is ready, whose life will you change first?